Hi, my name is Nicole Meeuws and I'm an abstract painter. And I'm here today to tell all of you about my near-death experience. It happened quite a few years ago now, back in 2015. It's still very fresh in my mind what happened. So I was on the operating table and unfortunately, I'd lost a baby and I was rushed into intensive care. I needed to basically take the fetus out because, I would have died, I would have passed away. So it was a very turbulent, very traumatic experience. And I remember lying on the operating table thinking, well, it's my last chance, isn't it, really, to have a child? And I wasn't feeling really great. I was quite sad and depressed at that moment. And as I lay there, all the doctors surrounded me and smiled at me. I don't know what happened, but as they put the anesthesia into me, suddenly there was a little bit of a panic. It was like a flicker of a panic, and then I was gone. I was sucked into this tremendous vortex of blue white light. I still remember that. It was the most incredible iridescent blue white light. And there was no staying in my human body because I could literally feel myself being sucked out into this or pulled into this energetic blue white light that was calling me. And it was almost as if I felt like I need to go there. There was no way that I could not go there. I was on a mission being sucked into that light. And so as I was being sucked into that light, from one moment to the next, I was in a room. And this room was a very brightly illuminated room with two enormous, I think it was marble, a type of marble white throne. And these two beings sat there. And my first response was, okay, I think I know where I am, even though I didn't know where I am. But I knew that I had left the world behind me and I knew that I had died. I knew that I was home. And that was the first thought that came to me. I'm home. And the unbelievable joy and excitement of suddenly being there was tremendous because it was like all that ancient memory that we have from the other side comes back in a split second and we're there. And greeting me on that throne, on those two thrones, were, I think that they were both sexes. They were two beings. They were not masculine, they were not feminine, but they were both sexes intertwined, both sitting separately on those two thrones. They had blue, indigo, white feathered hair. So every follicle that came out of their hair was this incredible feathered, long, almost like the Native American Indian headdress that they wear, but they were real feathers coming out of their head, very long. And I think they must have been about 10 to 15 foot tall. They were enormous beings sitting on these thrones. They had indigo eyes. I remember that very well because I was just looking deeply into those eternal eyes, such loving and peaceful presence they had coming from their eyes. And they had blue skin, like a soft pale baby blue, the way the sky looks, a beautiful soft pale blue skin. They had humanoid torsos sitting on the thrones, and the bottom part were fishtails, like they were sitting on the thrones with their fishtails just down below. And I've actually created the room that I'm in right now. I've created almost this type of a presence. Nowadays we can use AI for good things if we want to. And I created this beautiful room where it kind of signifies these beings sitting on the two thrones, if you can see them behind me there. Obviously they had fish tails, but they looked very much like this. And I stood there and I looked at them and they looked back at me. And there were no words that were spoken at all. It was just a deep, deep, peaceful, loving presence that they were kind of bringing into me to say, it's okay, you're here, you're home, everything is going to be okay. And it was such a tremendous feeling that anything that I'd ever experienced before didn't matter anymore. It didn't matter that I was married. It didn't matter that I had a family. My mum and dad, my parents, my brother and sister, my life, my memories, all of that became completely irrelevant. It was all about being home, being here, and who I truly was in this realm. And they kind of told me telepathically, they told me that I needn't worry, that I somehow wasn't supposed to have children in my earthly life. So all that pressure, that deep down pressure, the peer pressure of, we must have children at a certain age, or a lot of that is programming, I believe, that we need to have children. Of course, some women love to have children, and that's wonderful too. But not all of us come here to have children. And that's what they were trying to tell me, that it's okay. So there was a huge relief that came from me, because at one point I really, really wanted to have a child. But then on the other hand, I was so nervous to bring in a child into this realm. And we know this realm is full of chaos and pain and heartache and trauma, as well as love. It's not easy having an earthly life here. So yeah, so they told me, you're not supposed to have children in this realm. And all that peer pressure just disappeared. It was relief. It was relief on my end. I just felt so absolutely happy and at peace that I'd finally come home with these beings, that in an instant, suddenly, I was sucked out of that experience back onto the hospital bed. And I remember before I left, these beings did tell me a lot of different things. They were showing me world events, scenarios of my life. I'm very, very sure that they've done something as well. Like there's something within me that they kind of gave me something as a gift to bring back. And I still haven't quite figured out what it is, what it truly is. What I did realize was when I came back, the radiologist was next to me holding my hand, and he was really, really panicky and worried. I woke up and I spoke to him in a fluent, ancient language. And the language consisted of the letters K-A, ka, ka, words like ka, and the sounds of dolphins and whales. So very high, squeaky dolphin sounds and deep whale sounds. And the excitement, I seem to be completely fluent in this. I think they call it light language, although I don't like to put it in a box. I don't like to call it anything like that. I like to call it it was an ancient language that I spoke. And this language just came fluently out of me. And my husband was witnessing it, listening to me, and just kind of listening to me and agreeing and said, don't worry, you're okay, you're okay. And as I spoke to him, I think this must have lasted for at least 10 solid minutes in this language. I was just telling him how excited I am to be back. And I've just witnessed the most incredible scenario of my entire life. And this world is not real. This is not real. Where we are is not real. This is an illusion. And where we're going, that is our real world. That's the real life. That's where we become creators, instant manifestors. We are able to become the true artists that we are in these realms. And we can create whatever we want and whatever we experience. And it's all real. It's all absolutely real.
Hey everyone, before we dive deeper into this incredible near-death experience, we have to share something that completely took us by surprise. Have you ever wondered what happened to the legendary Chuck Norris? We recently saw a video he made and we were shocked. He's in his 80s and still kicking butt and working out and staying active. What's even more shocking is he's stronger, can work out longer, and even has plenty of energy left over for his grandkids. He did this by just making one change. He says he still feels like he's in his 50s. His wife even started doing this one thing too, and she's never felt better. She says she feels 10 years younger, her body looks leaner, and she has energy all day. Chuck made a special video that explains everything. Make sure you watch it by going to chuckdefense.com/side or by clicking on the link below this video. It will change the way you think about your health. Once again, that's chuckdefense.com/side, and click on the link in the description below to watch the video now. You won't believe how simple it is. Just a reminder, the legendary Chuck Norris is a whopping 84 years old and yet has more energy than our entire team. He discovered he could create dramatic changes to his health, simply focusing on 3 things that sabotage our body as we age. Watch his method by clicking the link in the description box below, chuckdefense.com/side. Now let's get back to our story.
And finally, I awoke and I said, what happened? And he explained to me that he obviously passed away for a couple of minutes and experienced life on the other side. And I said, well, I have no idea who I've just seen, because I don't understand who these beings are. Why have they got half a fishtail? Why is their skin blue? Why do they have feathers growing out of their heads? What is that all about? And so I started to do lots and lots of research. And I realized that these beings have already visited the Dogon tribe. The Dogon speak about Sirius B, and that they were visited by these dolphin type of beings. And the more research I did, the more I found out about this realm being some kind of a watery realm. Because I remember when I was there, the space that I was in almost seemed very fluid and white, and almost like I went back to this interdimensional watery world where I just became part of who I've always been there. And it felt so much more wiser than this world and so much more ancient. The tribes here, as I said, the tribes that are living on this planet are beautiful, but nothing close to the ancient beauty of these tribes that I think go on for eternity. They're eternal, these tribes. They've always been there. They've always existed in these interdimensional realms. And so when I came back, something did happen to me. I started to feel energy much more stronger than I ever did. I'd be around people and I'd know things. Not that I wanted to know these things, but I would know things about them. I would know about their lives, about the traumas they were experiencing without them even telling me. I'd walk past strangers and pick up all kinds of events and images and things that would happen, good, wonderful images, and also very bad and very negative images. And sometimes it would be so overwhelming that in the end, I just needed to get away from all of that. And I couldn't live in a city anymore. I had to actually leave the city and move somewhere much more quieter, which is why I now live here. You know, I live on a beautiful island off Greece called Paros, where it's very, very quiet in the winters, but chaotic in the summers. But at least I have my peace here. And it's a place where I can feel much more connected to nature and the water that's around me. And that's one thing that after this NDE, I became much more friendlier with water. I started to understand that water is this divine consciousness that is above us and below us and all around us and within us. It's a language, it's a being, it's an energy, it's anything you want it to be. And we can talk to it, and it can show us whatever we want to see. It can show us incredible things. It's almost like a hard disk that retrieves all the information that's ever been. That's what I think it possibly could be, water. Because when I'm in water, I start getting the most incredible downloads of the stories that I write about. So it's really interesting. Ever since my NDE, I started writing very many stories that make no sense to me, but I just wrote them down and talk about our future world, where we're going and what we're going to be experiencing on this incredible journey called life. And it starts actually in 2050. So our world will be very different by that time. And a lot of people, you know, it makes me very sad because a lot of people don't realize the power, the inert power that's in them, that we are such powerful beings that can instantly manifest everything we want in our lives. And depending on our own inner demons and our own inner traumas, we will manifest exactly what we are feeling, which is why it's so important, I sense and believe, that we need to live out on our highest frequency, which is joy, and which has always been joy. Because on the other side, all there ever is joy, is creation, is manifestation, is abundance. It's whatever you want to be. You are an artist creating everything, and it's everything beautiful, because there is no negativity, there is no fear, there is no jealousy or guilt or sadness. It's just the most potent, peaceful, illuminating, deepest love you've ever experienced. And that experience, of course, I only had when I died, of this incredible loving space where there is no judgment. Because certainly on earth, I've never experienced that type of love, not even with my husband. It's almost like this deepest loving hug when everything that ever was and that ever will be is absolutely okay. You're totally accepted. Yeah, and so there I was, you know, living my best life now, living the life that I've got now with this information, trying to live every day happy. Of course, you know, in our world, we get constantly, we're shown lots of imagery of what's going on, and these things are happening. They are happening in different areas of our world. But at the same time, we need to keep our frequency in our hearts high and focus, you know, focus on love. It doesn't matter. When we die, we go to a place that's home. We are eternal. But in this life, the fear of death makes us want to, you know, search for survival instincts and how am I going to survive and what am I going to do. But all of that is irrelevant on the other side, because it's okay. You start to realize, oh my God, yeah, why was I so worried? It was just another life wearing this pajama in this lifetime, because all this is my own pajamas, right? This is my avatar. I call it my pajamas, because once I'm gone, I say goodbye to this and then I'm home, then I'm home creating whatever it is I want to create. Beautiful experiences wherever I want to go and be and love. And I didn't meet anybody that I know. My sister passed away when she was 30 in 2010. And I thought I might see her, but I didn't. So that's always interesting as well. You never know quite who you're going to meet. I certainly didn't know. I certainly didn't know I was going to meet two fish-like humanoid beings with feathered hair. That's for sure. But in hindsight, I'm happy that I met these beings, because they brought me much closer to the ocean, to water. Of course, they gave me this incredible knowledge, which I later wrote a book about called Terra Infinita, Downloads from the Ether. All the information I get is from the ether, which is all around us. And above us is the endless ocean. And the endless ocean, I believe, might very well be God, universal love, as I call it. So right now in my life, I'm very happy, trying to stay positive and trying to inspire people out of the darkness and back into the heart, back into the love, because that's so important. Because so many of us worldwide are going through lots and lots of different difficult times. And, the world is changing very, very fast. And we need to always remember we're organic, natural nature beings. We are part of this earth, and we're here to experience this earth. And with all those experiences, we just have to embrace each and every moment and try not to worry about tomorrow or our yesterdays, and literally live in the now. I think living in the now is incredibly important, because we tend to forget that now is the moment we manifest. Now is the moment we can create. And there are infinite possibilities of our creations that we can create. But if we focus on the negative, we will create the now in a negative tomorrow, right? But if we focus on the now with what we adore doing, what we love doing, we're creating the nows to become more pleasant, more joyful, more happy, more serene. And we tend to manifest the things that we want to bring into our lives that will give us all those things. Thank you so much for listening to my story. And I just want to tell the viewers, try and connect with water much more. Listen to water. If you're down, if you feel depressed, try and go swimming in cold water, or try and swim in the ocean or in the lake or anywhere where there's water. Try and communicate to the water and listen to it, because water will always show you and always speak to you. You just have to listen. Thanks so much for listening to my story, and lots of love. And you can reach me on my link below if you're interested to speak to me. Thanks ever so much.
If you like this story, be sure to support The Other Side NDE by checking out our brand new book below,